If you have more questions about this book, go ahead and ask me. But let's get on to the other one, the cooler one. Cooler in my opinion, at least. This is the Improvised Munitions Handbook, circa 1969. Same thing, military, reproduced, yada yada yada. This thing, techniques don't get outdated, okay? Now, there may be better ways and different chemicals that might make a purer product when it comes to the explosives manufacturing, but if you use the stuff in this book, you will get the same results as it says in this book. Snipers, techniques can get outdated and stuff like that. Now, so again, $5 cheaper than dirt. I'm not responsible for anything anybody does with this book. Neither is the Army, or cheaper than dirt. And I'm not going to give you any specific quantities. This is a book review, not a bomb making tutorial. But this thing is interesting. This is super interesting. It's much more pages than the sniper book. It has explosives and propellants, including igniters. I don't know if you can read this, so that's why I'm reading it off. Mines and grenades, small arms weapons and ammunitions. That's cool. They tell you how to make guns in here. Mortars and rockets, incendiary devices. Oh, I'll touch on that in a second. Fuses, detonators, and delay mechanisms, and miscellaneous. The incendiary devices, they teach you the real ways to make napalm. Okay? None of this styrofoam gasoline bullshit. Which I knew that was, that makes a substance, but it's not napalm. This tells you all the ways you can make effective napalm. They call it liquid or gelled flame fuels. That's what they call it, gelled flame fuels, but it's napalm. How to make plastic explosives, filler, how to make potassium nitrate, which then you can make improvised black powder, nitric acid, which uses a lot of explosives, things for dust bombs, carbon TET explosive, fertilizer ANAL, which is different than ANFO. DDNP, HTP, I don't know if that's what it's called, somewhere here. Sodium chlorate, pipe hand grenades, nail grenades, mortar scrap mine. Basically a mortar you bury in the ground and put scrap metal in and then messes someone days up. They tell you how to make shape charges in here, which most of them says, if you make it right, it can penetrate up to about 4 inches of armor. Like from the bottom of a wine bottle. This cone charge will penetrate 3 to 4 inches of armor. Placed on an engine or engine compartment, it will disable a tank or other vehicle. Interesting. They also have one you can make out of a Coke bottle, out of a funnel, that are both shaped charges also. Tons of interesting stuff. Here's some cool stuff. They're the guns, the pipe guns. They do it for 9mm, 30, 38 or 380, I think, 45, 7.62, 5.56, and 12 gauge. Basically, it's wood, a pipe, some couplings, some rubber bands, and a few other things. And you just put it all together, and it's a single shot. They had things similar in World War II in France. People would shoot the Nazis and then take their weapon. Shotgun. It's awesome. Here's 7.62 carbine, 45. Lots and lots of interesting stuff in here. How to make a rifle cartridge with matches. A low signature system, aka suppressor, aka silencer, that'll fit on your pipe guns. Interesting stuff. How to make a grenade launcher. How to launch a hand grenade, or they also have one for the chemical fuel bottle, which I might tell you a little bit about. Basically, put it on the end of a shotgun or a gun and fire blank through it. Lob your grenade out there. How to make fuses. How to Here's the chemical fire bottle. This thing's cool. It's like, it's a Molotov cocktail, but you don't have to light a rag. You can just put it on your shelf or something, and then at any point you need to, you can throw it. I'm not going to get into it. It's basically, there's gasoline and sulfuric acid in the bottle, and then there's a rag taped around it with potassium chlorate and sugar mixture that's been dried onto it. And when it breaks, it catches on fire. The potassium chlorate and sugar mixes with the sulfuric acid, and that creates flame, which ignites the gasoline. I'm not going into the amounts you need because I do not want anybody blowing their freaking arms off on my account. Gel flame fuels. I'm not going to get into it, but there's lye systems, lye alcohol systems, soap alcohol systems, egg white systems, latex systems, wax systems, and animal blood systems. Okay, that's how you make it. You don't make it out of frozen orange juice concentrate. You don't mix soap with gas. You don't mix what's the other one? Styrofoam with gas. That is not napalm. Okay. Glad to get that through your heads. How to make it flare. Bunch of different colors like white, black, yellow, all that good stuff. Fuses, tripwires, detonators, all that good stuff. Blasting caps. Oh, there's a tip detonator. That's cool. If it tips over, it blows up. An altimeter switch. So when this gets above about 5,000 feet, it detonates. And there's also some other, they have this right here. It tells you how to make a improvised battery. That's kind of cool. I mean, you can make that at any time and not go to jail for it, unlike most things in this book. But this, if you have any sort of survivalism, or if you're into that or into guns, then you probably have a without rule of law situation that you've planned about. Some people more than others. I kind of think, I think about what I'd like to do. I don't have the money to do it anyways. This would still be interesting and useful in a without rule of law situation. You could buy, I don't know, a dozen chemicals that are all stable and will last a long time. Keep them at your house, and if shit hits the fan, in a day or two you could have explosives, which would be very useful in a without rule of law situation. You could fortify your position with booby traps. You could blow down heavy doors. Stuff like that. It is useful in certain situations. Personally, I just find this stuff interesting. I find it very, very interesting. So yeah, adios.